This one is real important. This one is real important. This video is called The Problem with the Education System. A really big video right here. I am for education. I am for knowledge. I support education. I support knowledge. If you choose to be a fool, you are a fool. If you enjoy being stupid, you are a fool. Now, I would say I don't like school. Well, how are you for education? How are you for knowledge, but you don't like school? Well, I'll elaborate. The reason I don't like school is school is lies. School is full of lies. So I don't like school, especially public school. It's lies. It's full of lies. Okay, you hear all these good things about these European men and all these great works they did, and they speak of slavery a little bit, but there's so many lies in there. Like there's an insurmountable amount of lies in American history that is indoctrinated through these schools. Why do they never take, like, they didn't, it's a really big deal. Juneteenth is a really fucking big deal, bro. Juneteenth is huge. They're not teaching about Juneteenth in school and about how down here in the South, states like where I'm at in Texas, we were the last ones to know, the last state to know in the South that we were free. So we celebrate that day on Juneteenth. We celebrate the hell out of it down here down south. They've just now recently made it a national holiday. Recently in the last couple of years. Talking about like last 2020, maybe 2019. It's 2022. This happened what? Do you remember when Abraham Lincoln got shot for freeing the black people? Okay, so that's like 1800s, bro. That's 1800. It's 2020 something before they recognize it as a national holiday. Things like that. Because it's not being taught. People didn't know about it. People weren't aware of it. I can tell you because I went to public school and I wasn't aware. I didn't learn until I went to my HBCU. So again, that's a historically black college or university for those who are unaware what HBCU means. But I speak on Juneteenth because that's the thing that's not spoken on in history, American history, at these schools on purpose. Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. They don't remember the Trail of Tears. I teach you about the Trail of Tears, but a lot of black people don't know that they are native to this country. Anyways, that's obvious. Anyways, the Black Wall Street was going on in Oklahoma, and the black people were very prosperous, very super prosperous. What did they do? They bombed that state, bro. They bombed, like they literally bombed. Airplanes sent bombs down and fucking nuked Black Wall Street, bro. Came in, tore that bitch up. Look it up. I'm not lying. But they just now acknowledging this. They just now putting this in the textbooks because too many black people were made aware of it and was making a big deal about it. But you see what? That's just two examples of how they're full of shit and they only want to make themselves seem all high and mighty with the Benjamin Franklin, the inventor of the light bulb and shit like that. Thomas Edison, the inventor of electricity, all that bullshit. Man, get the fuck out of here, bro. They are very selective on what they want you to know about them and what they did here. They never speak on how they are the reason that the natives are almost dead. They never speak of that. They never speak of how they have came over here and killed people off. They call it manifest destiny and pilgrims and pirates. They were pirates and they were tricksters. Okay? They came over here raping and killing and lying with a whole bunch of they came over here raping, killing, and lying. And took over this whole damn country. They won't tell you that. They just lie and make themselves seem all high and mighty and good. They leave out the part where they were killing, raping, and lying. So if you're going to tell history, tell the truth. My problem with schools, they don't tell the truth. They lie. That's my problem with schools. They teach you how to be a good worker. That's it. Teach you how to count good enough? to run a cash register, good enough to read what's on the computer, that's it. My problem with schools, they building workers, not thinkers. That's what's wrong with society. They're building people who just want to go to work. They don't want to create jobs. They don't want to create new inventions to make their life easier. That's the problem. My problem with school is still the imagination. It steals the dreams and the motivation and admirations that the children has, and puts them in a mental box, in a mental prison, to where they can only think certain thoughts. They can only think in a certain way. They can only think to go a certain path. They make the road, they make the wide path into a very small, narrow path for the student, and tell them they have to walk that line, and they have to choose from these options. They shorten their not necessarily aspect, but their outlook on life. They make it look, they make it seem a certain way to the student, to where only certain things are possible, that they're only capable of doing certain things in a certain way. It is all forced onto the child, forced onto the student. The student is not an adult to be able to think between the two and be like, they're just saying that I can do this, but I'll accept this. They don't know how to discern and things like that. What they're telling them is gospel. What they're telling them is truth at that moment in time to that child. So my problem with schools is the imprisoning of the mind. How they imprison, they lock up the mind of the student, and it's forever stuck in that cage, in that jail, that mental jail, and they can never explore beyond those restraints of that mental jail that was put onto that child at a very young age in an institution that we all like to call school. If the schools really cared about us, they would be teaching about credit. It would be mandatory. They would be forcing students to learn about credit. They would be forcing students to learn about how to fill out a resume, forcing students to know what a resume is, to go ahead and create the resume, forcing students to do this if they really care. And not only that, to take it a step further, after they did those things for the student, they would help the student learn about bank accounts, setting up bank accounts, saving accounts, retirement plans, what a 401k is. They would break down they would tell you everything as a student. They would tell you all of that. They don't tell you any of that as a student. You have to figure that out later on in life on your own as an adult, because that would actually help you avoid things like student loans from the financial aid office. That would help you avoid things like payday loans. That will make you avoid things like credit cards, because you found out the interest rates and da-da-da-da because they taught you about it in school. But since you did, you had to find out the hard way, and now most likely you're in debt. So it's designed that way. If they wanted you to know about these things to keep yourself out of debt, then they would have told you. But they did it so that you would go into debt, just like every other generation in America. Whether you're 70, whether you're 60 on down, all the way to us 20-year-olds that's going to school right now with the financial aid. It's rigged. It's a rigged system. And that's my problem with the education system. That is a rigged system that puts kids' minds in prison and continues the path of destruction, stupidity, and ignorance.